Hey folks, my name's Ed Trevors. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm an Anglican priest serving in the beautiful parish of St. Margaret of Scotland that sits on the ancestral and on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Gwe. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video about fear. I kind of ranted about fear in the church and fear within congregations, fear within Christians and Christian ministry. I'm against it. Don't think it has a place for us. As Christians, nothing that Christ promises us can ever be taken away from us. There is nothing that Christ promises that can ever be ripped from our grasp. What Christ promises us is a relationship with God. And no power, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all of creation can ever separate us from God, from the love of God that is found in Jesus Christ. Today I want to talk about one of the things that happens when we allow fear to infiltrate its way in, when we allow fear to become a guiding principle in the church, in our congregations, in our lives of faith. In Exodus chapter 32, we see a perfect example of what happens when a church, when a people allow fear to take over. We see a perfect example of what happens to a group of people. Despite the fact that they've been walking in the presence of God, literally in the presence of God. Exodus 32, the story of the golden calf, gives us the perfect example of what happens when people let fear take hold of their lives. See, Moses, he's been leading the Israelites for the last little while. He led them out of Egypt. And they get to this mountain, and Moses says, I got to go up on the mountain and talk to God. So he goes up on the mountain, he talks to God. The people, they're afraid he's not coming back. He's been gone a long time. And they're afraid he's not coming back. They're afraid that God and Moses have abandoned them, that they are going to die of thirst, they're going to die of hunger, that they're going to die under the scorching suns of the desert, that they're not going to make it. That the place where they are currently encamped is going to be the place where they are buried, or where the buzzards pick their bones. They're terrified. Now, these are people, as I said, who have literally walked in the presence of God. They have seen God perform miracle after miracle after miracle. They have taken their complaints to Moses. Moses has provided for them. Moses has gone to God with their complaints, and God has provided for them. They've seen this over and over and over again. We're thirsty, here's some water. We're hungry, here's some bread. We hate bread, here's some chicken, or pheasant, or quail. We're terrified of the army behind us. Don't worry about it. We're going to cross this ocean. We don't have any boats. That's okay. We're going to walk on the bottom. Every time there was a need, God showed up. And yet, in this moment, they're terrified that they've been abandoned. And before you can say, Bob's your uncle, they've got a hold of everybody's gold and jewelry, and they've created for themselves the golden calf, an idol. They've created for themselves a new God, a new shiny Messiah. This calf was going to save them. This calf would be their new guiding light. This calf would be what they bowed down to, what they prayed to, what they sacrificed to. With this calf, they were going to find their way in the world. That this new God, this new Messiah, this idol, was going to provide for them everything that they needed. This idol, this Messiah, this new God, was going to take care of them. Today, right now, going to alleviate all of their fears. We see the same thing today. You know, we're told over and over and over again that we need to be afraid of this person or afraid of that one, afraid of a person who speaks like this or looks like that or loves like that. We got to be afraid because there are so many people out there who are coming to take away that which you love most. Coming to take away your livelihood. Coming to take away your way of life. Coming to take away who you have become to believe yourself to be as a citizen of your nation. Come to take away the identity of your nation. to change your country. They're coming to take away everything that you love. And so what do? Now for the Christian, the choice should be obvious. Put our trust in God. Put our trust in Jesus. Follow Jesus' ways. If we follow Jesus' ways, we see how empty those threats that we keep hearing about are. Because we know that nothing can take away that which we truly love, which is God. Sadly, we don't always do that, and so we create for ourselves, or we accept others who have stood up and said, "We are your Messiah. We will save you. We will keep you from harm. We will fight those battles for you. We will take care of these things that are threatening you. We will alleviate your fears. We will make sure that you're safe." Right? We raise up for ourselves a new Messiah, or we accept one who proclaims themselves as our new Messiah. We elect them into political office. We put them up on the pulpit. They speak the language, they speak the words we want to hear. They tell us that they will protect all that we love. All the earthly things we love, all the earthly things we're terrified of losing. They tell us that we're right. We're right to be afraid of losing our earthly things, despite the fact that it is our earthly things that are probably the greater of the threats. They speak our language, our ways, and we fall for it. Right? These new messiahs that we raise up for ourselves or accept, they speak a language that helps us to believe that we are right and justified in fearing what we're fearing, and that they will take care of it. They will guide us. They will keep us safe. We see it all over the world. And we see it all throughout the course of our lives. For Christians, there is one Messiah. And He's enough. He will get us through these moments. He's taught us everything that we need to know to get through the entirety of this life. Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and body. Love your neighbor as yourself. Do these things and you will be walking the right path. Do these things, you will be walking my path, the Messiah's path. Do these things, you will be like me. And you will have the kind of relationship with God that the Messiah has, that Christ has. And that, for a person of faith, is all we're supposed to be going after, all we're supposed to care about. If we choose to live like Christ, we don't have to worry about those fears being obliterated. We don't have to worry about being kept safe from those fears. If we're living like Christ, then we do so in the presence of those fears. Because those fears teach us something about ourselves. Those fears show us something about ourselves. Those fears can actually be a catalyst for us to grow beyond the fears. If we're living this life like Christ, loving God with all our heart, mind, soul, and body, and loving our neighbors as ourselves, loving our neighbors as Christ loves us, the fears don't get in the way. Even though they're present, they don't get in the way. Because we're able to hold to the truth, which is nothing can separate us from the love of God. If we're living like Christ, we have our mission, we have our purpose, we have our call, we have our raison d'être, we have the lens through which we see everything and everyone in this world. We have the lens through which we read our holy scriptures, the lens through which we are able to see God in all things at all times. If we're living in this world as Jesus lived in this world, then we already have everything we need. We don't need another Messiah. We don't need to create one for ourselves, and we certainly don't need to accept those who stand up and say, "Follow me." May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray that you will always follow the direction of Jesus, the Messiah. His message is universal. It transcends people, it transcends language, it transcends religion. It brings all of us into one community. It brings all of us into a place where none of us need fear loss of any kind. Amen. Numultus.